Like everything else, business has a language all its own, and I plan to help you speak it. I'm Greg Stoller from the Carroll School of Management MBA program at Boston College. A budding entrepreneur gets an idea. Next comes the business plan. Some business plans wind up sitting on bookshelves collecting dust, while others are immediately put to work. On this show, we'll tell you how all kinds of companies, large and small, are planned, implemented, and run. For over a decade, I've been approached by scores of entrepreneurs who would like business plans developed for their new ventures. Each year, I narrow that list down to the most viable 20 and regularly enlist a team of over 50 mentors and advisors to help my classes in writing them. Hearing from these entrepreneurs directly, you can learn from both their successes and their failures. Some entrepreneurs spend a great amount of time developing their plan, while others go for the back of a napkin approach. Which one is best? Today, we will be exploring the pros and cons of both. Our first guest tells us how. I'd like to welcome Tony Solomons into the studio. Tony, welcome.
Hi, Greg.
So Tony, tell me about your current business and what you do for a living.
Ideal Marketing Group is a direct import consulting firm. We provide international trade assistance to American companies seeking to do business overseas. This is the third iteration of what began as a family business. The first one was a manufacturer's representative firm based in Chestnut Hill. The second one was a startup based in London. And this one is entirely my own, also a startup.
And you mentioned that you have a lot of international interest. Where are some of the geographies that you do business in?
We do a lot of business in China, but also Hong Kong. We do business in Taiwan, Japan, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines.
And what sort of element of the process do you get involved with? Obviously, you're not manufacturing the products, but you said you were assisting and advising your clients.
We serve as our clients' outsourced import department, if you will. So for our clients importing products from third-party distributors, we help them shorten the supply chain by showing them how to import directly themselves, and we provide the facility within our offices in Boston and in Hong Kong to do all the documentation, all the shipment tracking, all the order flow management, merchandising, packaging. It's really a turnkey end-to-end process.
And what would you say is the biggest business challenge that you're facing right now?
Right now, as always, the biggest challenge is finding the right people. We're a small business. We've got a limited number of personnel, and there are no passengers. Everyone provides a vital and important service, and often those are very specific functions. We believe in hiring smart, talented people who have a strong work ethic, who are able to work independently and think creatively, and we believe in incentivizing them properly and creating a plan and with specific objectives and specific measurement benchmarks, and then giving them the tools and resources they need and getting out of the way and letting them do their work.
So you use the word plan. The focus of this segment is on to what extent companies are using traditional business plans. We've both, I'm sure, run into in our respective careers your 50-page, neatly laser-printed business plan. Many people are moving away from those. My guess is that you don't use one. So how do you plan for your current business?
First of all, I think the most valuable thing about a business plan is the thought and the foresight and the introspection that goes into it.
Sure.
And I think the actual document itself is valuable as a touchstone to make sure while you're in the fray that you're generally moving in the right direction. But for us, constructing a 50 or 60 page business plan wasn't the option that we pursued for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think once those plans are written, by the time the ink is dry, things have changed, circumstances have changed, and it's less and less relevant. The other problem is that I have this problem with white papers in general, and that is that they get put on a shelf and they don't get read.
So in lieu of a formal business plan, do you have monthly reviews? You mentioned you had offices locally, also in Hong Kong. Do you have weekly conference calls? Do you have regular planning reviews, either every month, every quarter? Help us understand that process.
We have a formal weekly meeting in our office here where we review not only basic operational things and how situations were handled, how outstanding matters are to be handled, but on a broader sense, we share information relating to the marketplace, relating to competition, relating to regulatory changes that affect our business, and we continually refine our plans and objectives based on these new inputs.
Do you come up with specific metrics for the people you're hiring, or do you do it at the company level?
We do both. At the company level, we set specific performance targets for, usually it's done by product line or product segment. And at the individual level, the performance targets are set in conjunction with each employee based on the objectives for that particular function.
And how do you deal with products or employees who haven't met that target at the end of each reporting period?
With both of those examples, you look at the reasons why it didn't happen the way you expected it to, and you know, in business, if there's one thing that's guaranteed, is that things aren't going to turn out exactly the way that you thought they would, both on the plus and the minus side. And so we take those inputs as well, which occurred after the original plan was put in place, and we decide if going forward it's something that's within our control, it's not within our control, and certainly if it's without our control, then there's no repercussions, obviously.
Of course.
But if it's something that's within our control, we take steps to fix it.
So you mentioned that you do a lot of work in the Far East, in those geographies. I'm assuming one of those countries is going to be China.
Yep.
China has gone through a massive positive reform over the past 20 years. In Chinese, it's called 改革开放, which is reform and open market approaches or open market opening. Help me understand, in lieu of a formal business plan, how a lot of your planning processes work in China.
Basically, they work the same way they work here. And on the one hand, you can make a very powerful case for using formal business plans in China. And one of the main reasons for that is that culturally, Chinese people are very literal people, and having a formalized document to refer to is very, very useful in ensuring that things go along according to plan. I think for us, again, because of the size of our organization, because the people within our organization are highly experienced at what they do, it works better for us to do this verbally and on a personal level. Our plan, as it were, is a living, breathing document, and it's constantly being modified and improved by the new inputs of information.
But how do you then sort of process the effects of exogenous factors, in the sense that all of a sudden the laws have changed? For example, in the Guangzhou region, which is the southern part of China, right above Hong Kong, north of Hong Kong, minimum wages have increased by 20% out of nowhere. You have the government that is going to be favoring certain sectors for investment versus not other sectors for investment. How do you, either in lieu of a formal business plan or even an informal business plan, factor those changes into running a living, breathing business?
Those are the inputs, precisely the types of inputs that I'm talking about. So if, for example, minimum wage increases result in an increase in labor costs, which results in an increase in FOB costs of product, you're going to have to take a hard look at your sales forecast.
And for the benefit of our viewers, FOB stands for?
Free on board, the price at the port.
Okay.
And so if something's going to impact the cost of your product, then it obviously is going to have some knock-on effect to the overall sales of that product and obviously the profitability of that product. So you have to work that back into your estimates of your sales plan.
Sure.
And possibly your marketing plan too.
Many of our viewers might be considering their own businesses, either domestically here in the United States or internationally. What one or two pieces of advice would you have for them, not only in terms of business planning, but also the use or lack thereof of a formal written business plan?
Well, I would say that if an entrepreneur is considering starting out in a business, particularly if it's a business that is new to him or her, I would absolutely recommend going through the formal writing of a business plan.
Even something 50 pages long?
Even something 50 pages long, even if they never look at it again. Because during that process, you're going to be forced to focus on the issues that meaningfully impact your business and its ultimate viability. Also, for an entrepreneur just starting out at a new business, if you need to seek financing, banks are going to want to see a business plan, venture capitalists are going to want to see a business plan without a doubt. And finally, I alluded to the viability of your business. That goes all the way down to the product level. You should be having a business plan for each product or product line and a thorough understanding of what that market is and the ultimate viability of that product.
And even for a brand new, a nascent company in a rapidly changing geography like China, you'd still recommend some sort of written document?
The newer the entrepreneur is to the business and the concept and the market, the more important it becomes. Even if, as I said, you don't refer to it on a daily basis. Because you need to ask yourself those questions in order to answer the first question, which is, should I be in this business? Is this a viable business for me to be in?
Thank you, Tony. Tony Solomon just talked about an informal business plan. What about something of the fuller length variety, perhaps 50 pages long? Our next guest is going to talk about that. I'm Greg Stoller, and you're watching The Language of Business.